Idle here. I want to make a tutorial on the new 0% route. I'm also going to rehash the any percent glitched portion as well. Now, if you've seen one of my prior tutorials on any percent glitched, there's not a lot of new information in here. There are a couple of faster screen adapts you can do, but they are less normalized, riskier. I don't even often go for them myself, so not really required that you need to know those. And the other thing I want to mention is more of a warning. Once you get to this door skip and you head toward the block shuffler, the route that I take is not 100% consistent. If you do the 5D skip, it's fine. If you go the 5D route, there's a chance the route that I take could mess up that one of those blocks. It's pretty rare for me. I have not figured out a way around it. I just kind of living with it. I just wanted to throw that out there. I'll talk more about it when we actually cover that part. But just kind of, if you're skipping over this because you've already seen the any percent glitch tutorial, just letting you know, you might want to look at what Drewski's doing or antimatterhorse or Sniq. I believe we all have different routes from the door skip to the block shuffler. So there could be some options there for you. And then just a quick shout out on the setup. I'm using Prac 2.7.8. There is a new feature in, I think, 2.7.7.1 that we'll be using. So you don't want that. For info HUD, I'm using the Super HUD. I recommend having status icons visible. You could also turn them on here. I'm choosing to do it with the Super HUD. For game options, you're going to want fast teleport to be turned off, and then minimap on, which will actually happen automatically if you pick a Mappo preset, which is what we're going to jump into. So if you've seen the 80% glitch tutorial already, there should be a collected X-ray bookmark you can jump to. Otherwise, let's get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to bombs and pick the Alcatraz preset. Everything up to this point is the same as you would do in vanilla, including the BT fight. It is slightly preferred to have full health and ammo here, but it's not really that important. The only thing you really want is a missile drop, and even if you have 0 missiles at this point, you can still usually get a missile drop later, but you'll be just a little bit dependent on RNG. So it is better to have at least a couple missiles at this point. And this is also same as you would normally do. And then here, instead of heading to Terminator, we're going to head down here and, try to land here. You can do this without taking damage. I usually do take damage. In fact, let's take damage this time. Now, don't do that. I have a tendency to do that sometimes, where I'll like fall and like miss this landing. You should be able to land here and don't fall down. So we're going to go in here, and we are going to need to take this save. This is not a safety save. We do need to, as part of the any percent glitch setup, which 0% is built on any percent glitched. So as part of that setup, we do need to save. You should be mashing A here to get back into your game. And then I have the music turned off. Normally, you'd be hearing some music here. So with the fast teleport off, we can practice that same as we would in the run. Okay, the next thing we got to talk about. Oh, geez, I love to miss that wall jump up. I don't know if it's a slope. I think I'm just not wall jumping fast enough there. First thing we got to talk about are these gamers here. And we also got to talk about what's going on. Let me switch this over to RAM Watch. With this. Okay, so I'm not going to do the whole spiel that I did in one of my prior tutorials. But the gist of it is, once we get out of bounds, we're going to travel to this special block that's called a block shuffler. And it's going to copy a significant portion of RAM, which we have some control over, to room data. It's also going to copy a whole bunch of other stuff that we don't have control over. But the point is that some of it we have a little control over. And that means it's not just things about Samus. It's not just the map. It's also enemies, positions, projectiles. All of that stuff is going to get copied and become room data. It's going to become part of what we use. And So in order to get the X-ray, which we're going to use to beat the game and also to do the 0%, we have to set up this RAM in a specific way. So some values, they just need to be like an F. These are usually blocks that you land on or that we need to jump on. And then some of these are actually very specific. So these are very specific values that help us get the X-ray. So it turns out that you can make the X-ray block appear. It's not that difficult to make that block appear, but to make it actually, well, I guess it is the 5D. You do need this 5D value to get it to appear. But once you have that, you also, it doesn't just work for free. There's some other blocks we have to touch when we're out of bounds. It has to do with the PLM count. I don't want to get into it a second time, but we kind of have to run around the room, touch other blocks, including potentially this other 5D block and also the 6F block. So these are just some specific blocks that we need to set up. But even going beyond this, just whether or not a gamer is alive will affect the room. And so one of the decision points we're going to have when we get to the block shuffler, we can go for, I mentioned that one of the blocks is this so this one here is kind of an optional 5D block because there is a way to skip it, which we call 5D skip. Getting 5D skip is a little bit tricky, and if you go for it and you miss it, you could just go right into the backup. So it's sort of, it makes sense to learn both. It makes sense to learn both the 5D route and the non-5D route. That said, if you're in this because you just want to finish a run, you don't care how slow it is, you want to do the absolute most consistent things, you probably don't even care about 5D skip. And if you don't care about 5D skip, you have the option to kill the schemer. It is going to give you some options in the out of bounds, or it gives you one extra option, I should say. Whereas for the rest of us that want to go for that 5D skip, you got to keep the schemer alive because it's going to create a block that we wall jump off of. By the way, you may have noticed this gamer kind of stuck up on us. This is one of the two global gamers. We got to kill those because if we let those run around once all the room data shifts, they're going to cause crashes. So we have to keep, there are two gamers. This is the other one. There are two gamers that are up on this top area that we need to kill. And then this one over here, we also need, this one isn't a global gamer, but it just gets in the way if we don't kill it. So this one will also kill. But all the other gamers, I keep all the other ones alive. But if you really don't want to do 5D skip, you could kill the schemer. Now, if you do kill the schemer, we can't leave this drop here. And that's because the next thing we need to do is, if we look at our little cheat table here, little crib sheet or whatever you want to call this, this 6F, it says scree projectile. So this is based on one projectile from one of those screes. And if we leave this drop alive, then that is an extra projectile. And that means that we know, like, the manip no longer works, right? The manip is assuming that there are no drops on screen when you go into the manip because we have to move it a specific way. So let's look at what that manip actually looks like. For the rest of this demo, I'm going to leave. Of course, this block, this stupid. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I have so much trouble with this. Unbelievable. We're going to save right here. So for the rest of the tutorial, I'm going to keep the schemer alive. So the manip starts out with doing we release dash. Maybe I should let that gamer go by. I'm going to release dash, and then I'm going to hold right and bonk into this. And it's going to be a normalized jump. So you kind of like do a walk, bonk into this. You can release right once you're past this, and you hold jump the whole time. And then you release right about there, and you land in the same spot every time. We call that normalized movement. I mentioned that in one of the tutorials, not going to go over that too much again. So then we do a jump, tap left. And actually you want to hold left because you're going to jump again. When you're holding jump and you move in the opposite direction, you immediately do a spin jump. Now we're going to land in this spot. Do this. Go like this. Okay, and I don't think... Oh yeah, I talked about the RAM watch values, but I didn't actually pick them. So let's go ahead and pick them. I like to have this one. And I like to have this one. And we can see I have 6F on the top left now, so I did the manip correctly and we got the right value. And then for this other one, if I just bomb all these 4 blocks out, once you get to the 4th one, now it creates a value. Now, once this happens, I need to get back over to here and down here, okay? I did it in time. And we see the value is now 5D like we want. So that value starts out at like 4F or something. It goes to 5D. The schemer here. Okay, there it is. Schemer is like, he was like off screen or something. Oh, we could see that I accidentally, that value, I lost the value. So there are some like scroll blocks right around here. You can almost kind of see how the screen, like it has to do with the camera. These scroll blocks mess with this value here. As long as you get here and then you can stand here all day, but you can't jump back up here because you'll jump into those scroll blocks and then it messes it up. So you just have to get here and then be prepared to go down. So starting from this again, walk. This part is walk, turn, jump, turn, bomb. So once you morph, bomb, unmorph, and then you jump up. Usually kill this schemer right there, and then what we do is we kill these schemers on the way back. Okay. And now we're set up. And see the value, it's 5D, and once we get down here, we're safe. That value is going to remain at 5D. That's the safest normalized way. It also sets up both 5D values. Now, there are a couple of faster ways to do that. So one is to just run up here, get to about here, and then from about here, we're going to walk forward and then jump right about there. And this is 70 means I was close. I didn't quite get it. Let's try again. This jump before we get to the point where we walk is important. If we were to just run on the ground and then release dash, we would keep a lot of our speed and we'd be moving too fast. By running, jumping, releasing dash while we're in the air, when we land, we'll reset to a normalized walking speed. Okay, close. I think I'm jumping just a little bit late. Yeah, so there I jumped a tiny bit earlier, and we got a 6F. I think 6.2 is another value that's close. As we can see, that's more difficult. You know, so this part here is all walking here, so it's still not super fast. And yeah, it's not that hard to mess it up either. Okay, I'm making it look harder than it is. It is tricky. I'm not going to say it's easy, but you can get this a little bit more consistent. Okay, so that was like a significantly this. There we go. You can build up consistency with that, but it might be like just a couple frames window. Like it's definitely not normalized at all. But it does open up an even faster variant. You can actually do this. No, not like that. So we're going to bomb both of these blocks out. Run into this. Do this. Shoot that door, and then lay a block there. And we could see that this value went to 4F, like that the value, and once I get here, it's going to go to 5D. So we, instead of bombing all 4 blocks, we did it with only 1. Unfortunately, we can't do the minute fast enough to bomb out 2 blocks. If I try, no, that wasn't very fast. I didn't get either block. I can do it faster than that. Yeah, I can't get both blocks to show up. So instead of bombing both blocks, that's actually why we shoot this door, so that we only have to bomb 1 block and we fill in just the 4th spot, because this is the X-ray value that we absolutely need. If you go for this really fast manip, then you're committed to 5D skip. See if I can demo it. There. Gotta kill that guy. Okay, there we did it. But now we're absolutely committed to 5D skip if we do this, because the other block won't be a 5D block. Okay, so this is if you're really going for fastest time, I don't even go for this most of the time, but it's kind of, maybe if I want to get a sub 9 80% glitched, I would consider going for this. I can't compete with Drewski's 837, but I think I could potentially get a sub 9 if I throw in a few more speed ups. Okay, let's do the normalized one. Oh yeah, I'm kind of glad that happened. This happens to me every once in a while. I have no idea why this happens. Every once in a while I bonk this like this, I just redo the setup if that happens. It should still work. It does mean the screens are going to be in a little bit different location. Oh, I guess I should mention that. I'm running here. I run to here and I wait for a little bit and then jump up. And I also don't kill the gamer. Do not kill the schemer right away. So let's see what happens if I just like. Okay, you can actually jump up pretty quickly. I didn't realize you could jump up quite that fast. Let's try that again. I've been waiting too long. Oh wow, and that didn't even mess up killing the gamer. I have seen the gamer mess that value up before. I want to see if I can show that. Maybe you have to kill the gamer super fast. Here I did jump up too early, and the particle did despawn 1 frame early, ending with a value of 62 instead of 6F. Yeah, there we go. Now it's a value of 6 for some reason. It was going to be 6F, and then I killed that gamer. So that can happen. Another thing with killing the schemer is that sometimes it's like there's too much going on with these screes and the schemer. There's some sprite value that gets messed up. I'll mention it later on in the run, but I've only had that happen to me once in practice, and not killing the schemer is another way to avoid that. So one more time. Jump turn. Jump turn. Bomb, turn, into here. Go. Bomb, kill that first gamer. If you're really fast, you can kill the second one too. That gamer can do that. Drewski called that the Neo gamer, where like, because these are all slopes up here. See, this value is 5D now, right? Like, it's only when I go through here that it gets messed up because there's scroll blocks here. But these are all like weird slope tiles, and it can cause weird collision with the gamers. So beware that these gamers, you want to kind of shoot them on the outside, like kind of like where you're kind of away from the slope. You can imagine you'd probably hit the gamer if it was crawling along this slope. You shoot like there. You know what I'm trying to say. Like, you don't want to shoot like here because you can kind of see how messed up the collision is, and that causes the gamer to get missed sometimes. Okay, so now we're here. I do a moonfall here. Thank you, Drewski. Show me this. Drewski actually does something I think even faster now. We have to bomb this. Well, I don't think we have to bomb this gamer specifically, but we do. I guess I did lie earlier when I said we only kill 3 gamers. We kill this one too. We have to kill it with a bomb. It's required for the setup. Just trust it. And also, once we kill this gamer with a bomb, no more bombs until we get to the block shuffler. That's the last one for a while. Okay? So, come down here. However you want to do it, kill this gamer with the bomb. Now, we want to do... The next thing we need to do is some sub-pixel position manip. So this layer 1 sub X... and I'm going to go ahead and put the sub Y one in here too, because we're going to use that one later. But the sub X was the one I care about. Right now it's C0. The C we don't really care about. It's the ending 0, 0, 0, 0. That part we care about. Now it's FFFE, FDFC. So it's actually the F next to the C that we care about. So we want that value to be an F. And the more we do this, the more we can get this into a lower value. And that's good because if later on, if we bonk something, the value might go back up. And if it ever, like if we were to, sometimes when you do this, you can even see it go up to 1. I can't make it happen on command. But if we ever, like if we were just go with FD, that can technically work. But depending on how we move out of bounds, we might bonk into enough walls and cause enough things to happen. It's a little inconsistent because, you know, this is Super Metroid, where that value could wrap back around to a 0. If it's 0, 0 instead of FF, then it's not going to work. The any percent glitch route will fail. So we do these little things here. That was not a good one, actually. So you want to like wall jump check and then bonk this wall. Bonking this wall does nothing normally, and even that does nothing. But if we wall jump check, now bonking the wall lowers it. Again, no idea why, just that this works. The other thing we're doing is we're giving this schemer here time to get it needs to be on the top here and moving to the right. And again, that has to do with the copying from enemy RAM into room data. So this schemer is pretty important. It needs to be along the top, moving right when we go off screen. Now it's off screen right now. So if I'm like this and I wait for a bit and I come back over here, it's still going to be on top, right? See that? But now it's going to be to the right. So it just matters what it is when we leave screen. You can check these values as well. I'm not going to bother to do it, but they are here. If you want to check, these two the F should be in this position. And then there's also this one. The only thing, this one here also depends on whether you have a drop on screen. So this is another situation where we need to get drops. I forgot to mention it. When you're killing these 3 gamers, and you can even see I left a drop behind. This is fine. This drop will disappear before it causes us any problems. You can leave drops behind when you kill these 3 gamers up here. But down here, this schemer, no, don't do that. You can kill it like this, that works. And then you click the drop that way too, but you can't leave the drop there. This is actually why it's slightly preferred to be at like full health, because you could potentially get a big health drop up above and be at full everything at this point, and then this schemer can't drop anything. And then you don't have to worry about trying to grab it. Because if you try to grab it, oops, I landed. Look what happened to my value. It's back to 0. I gotta do this all over again. Oops. Another way we can mess this value up. Oops. Let me try a little bit more realistic. Oh, that. Let me try this again. Like that. Like, we need to be all the way over here when we go into the door. Oh, I should have mentioned this in the setup. You need moonwalk, because you need to be all the way over here. You have to be on the furthest left 4 pixels. Because for some reason, and it's because I think it's because of the subpixels again. Let's see this again. So if I'm set up like this, see how the value goes to zeros again? But for some reason, if we give ourselves some subpixels and we stand here and we move over here and now we jump, we keep our value. So you have to be on the furthest left 4 pixels before you would fall in this door. When you moonwalk backwards, you move at a ½ pixel a frame, so you've got an 8 frame window to stop moving. That's required for making this door skip work. So it's a pretty particular door skip, on top of the fact that it is double frame perfect. We're getting to that. So to kind of wrap up the setup, fall down, bomb this guy. If you do low manips, you can get 3 in like that. Actually, I think I did an extra one because I should jump up here and grab that drop and then go 4. So now it's a little bit further, too far over. I prefer to do 1 low, 2 low, third one a little bit higher to get the drop. If you do all of them high like this, they do work for manips, but it allows the gamer to move over further. Technically, if you were to go for just one of these wall jumps and then do like this, FFFE is kind of living on the edge. But if we imagine like this, you get FD. FD you can make work. So if you could do this consistently and your movement to get the lock shuffler also keeps that value at FF or better, you could do this and it'd be a little bit faster. I kind of like, now that I know about the low jumps, doing 2 low jumps and then one a little bit higher to get that drop. Come down, shoot the door, turn. You need to jump and hold jump for this, and then you moonwalk back, and then you let go jump, and now we're in position with jump held. And for this, we're going to go ahead and jump over to the door skip. So the way the door skip works, we're going to be aiming down, and then at a specific point, we're going to be aiming down with angle held. And you can see when I have angle held, but I'm also holding down, I stay in the down pose, okay, which is kind of a crunched up pose. Now watch what happens when I let go down in the air. I switch to angle immediately. This expands Samus's hitbox, or feet kick down. This causes us to move a significant amount down in one frame. It's not quite enough to skip an entire tile. We will still trigger the door. But if we're pausing and we're unpausing, and the unpause, that fade in, finishes right on the same frame that we expand our hitbox, the game will say, aha, you hit the door, set the door flag. That sets the game state from 8 to, or actually it would be 7, I think, from, I don't know. It changes the game state to 9, but then the fade in finishes, and the fade in says, okay, we're supposed to be normal gameplay, set the gameplay to 8. And it overwrites the door transition event. And then on the next frame, we're past the door. And that's how the door skip works. But that requires that when we press pause and then jump, the jump has to be exactly 5 frames after the pause in order for us to fall at the right moment. Okay, so that's frame perfect. And then the expand hitbox also has to be on just the right frame, double frame perfect. And if we mess this up, if we fall into the next room, all of the nip we just did gets lost. And we have to reset back to our save. So we don't lose the whole run, but we use like a whole minute. It's not like with the old any percent glitch, you could just fall through this door and then come back up and try again. You lose 10 seconds. Now you lose a minute. So it's tough. You got to practice this quite a bit. We do have the trainer for that. So go ahead and set up for this. I have the most consistency when I kind of do the same thing every time. So prepare. So that was correct. I paused and then pushed left 5 frames later. I got a YY. You could see E1 or E2, L1 or L2. You are going to need a reliable start button for this. Unfortunately, this is my 3rd start button I had to go to. And then you really do, this took a lot of practice for me to get to any level of consistency. In fact, I like this so much. I'm gonna save here. I'm gonna lock this YY in because I don't get it every time. And then we want to hold, and of course I get it first try there too. So I'm just on a roll, but I'll do that one again at least. So we're gonna hold out of the pause, you're going to hold down an angle, and then at the right moment, you're going to let go of down. Then you don't do that. I don't know what that was. And if you're early, then you might get an E2. If you're late, you might get an L1 like that. You might also just fall through. Anything more than L1 and you just get an LX, it won't tell you how late you were. You were more than 1 frame late. That's all you really know. If you missed the first input, like if you have an E1 or an L1, If your first jump wasn't good, then you're not going to get feedback on the second jump. And there's one more thing we need to do. Once we do this, we need to shoot the floor. So this floor here, this block I'm standing on is actually bad. You can't shoot this block. But every block below that is like a broken square block, those gray blocks. We're going to shoot those. So like once we fall through the floor, we're going to angle up and shoot at those blocks. You can also shoot straight up. Shooting straight up is a bit riskier because if you have any right or left movement, that will trigger a sideways check. You have to keep in mind when we're falling, the game is intelligent enough to only check the falling edge. It's not checking, it'd be wasteful to check all of Samus. Just check her feet, right? But when you move side to side, now you're going to check the whole height of Samus, and you're going to notice, hey, look, we're falling through a door. Boom. You just triggered the door transition. So it's better to just do an angle up shot. You just don't shoot immediately. I mean, technically, if your shot is so quick, it goes to the door and hits like this, that actually does work too, for whatever reason. But normally you shoot just a little bit later. It hits one of these blocks down here and you're good. If you're curious about checking this, it's going to set both of these two values here to FFFF. And once we fire that shot and we hit the door frame, you hit one of those blocks, no more shots until we hit door skip either. So we can't be doing any moonwalking either. Oh, actually, not block shuffler. This is no more shots until we get X-ray. This one here. So no more bombs until block shuffler. No more shots until we get to X-ray. Although there is one exception. I will talk. You can fire missiles is the exception. So we'll talk about that. If you happen to fire 2 shots, it's the last shot that counts. As long as the last one hits one of these gray blocks, the manip will be good. Otherwise, you're kind of SOL. You might as well reset. Okay. So let's get into it. Okay, so that's good. Now, I did a hard landing here, and I didn't get over to the watch value in time. By doing a hard landing while morphed, this right value ends with FF. This is helpful for us later on. You don't have to do this, but even Drewski did it. Like even Drewski figured out like he could do the out of bounds movement a little bit faster by standing. But because this FF value saves so much time, like saves like 2 seconds later on, he still does the bonk thing like this and then gets up and runs. Just because this saves enough time later. I'll talk about this a little bit more later in the 80% glitch movement. But for whatever reason, this value is not affected by most falls, but this particular fall from a long distance changes us from zeros to Fs. Seems to work pretty consistently. Okay. It's time to turn on the tile viewer so we can see where the heck we are. So we're going to do X wraparound later. You can turn it on for Parlor. I'm going to explain it more when we get to the landing site. I don't find it very helpful in Parlor. It's just going to look messy. So we're just going to do regular tile viewer. And we can also leave these alone for now as well. We'll get back to those later. So with our tile viewer, we see that we're here. We're going to move left until we see Samus fall off. Oh, and this is my way of doing it. Again, I mentioned it's not 100%. In fact, maybe we can show that. It is this particular value that sometimes gets lost. So let's put this out here. And I'll keep this 90F value up as well. And let's go back to ramp watch. So we see we have an FB and a 5D. By the way, once I land on this, if I bonk this, sometimes when I bonk this, see there I lost one. It went to FC. But sometimes I don't. Like it's kind of unpredictable when you lose stuff or not. Another thing you can tell, like you can actually see Samus here. So as we're doing this fall through, you can see Samus when she lands here, and then you can go here, and you can land safely on this block. You can also fall through. Like you can time this. So you can do that. And we're trying to get down to about here, okay? And then we're gonna fall off from here. And again, this is my way of doing it. Drewski does something different. Antimatterhorse does something different. So if we fall off here, then I want to at some point unmorph, and I'm trying to get to here. Let me do this. Okay, so let's say from here. So that for that particular landing, see, oh, that was no good. See how I landed on some block up here, and then there was a yellow block above it. I was going to hit that door transition. So let me try to do that again. Oh, that, oops. Yeah, that block is where I landed. So how you bounce off of this is going to affect like when you need to unmorph, because this is obviously bad. This is not what we want. So you can kind of see how Samus falls. See how that was kind of a very steep fall? And also see how my value is messed up. See how it's AE3? I morph fell through this pink block and I lost my status. So when I have a very kind of steep fall, that's another steep one, I unmorph early. I would unmorph even earlier than that. Like that early. And then I'm gonna land here, just holding right. And I listen for 2 thuds. But if I have a fall like that, then I wait a while before unmorphing. Okay. And if I do that consistently, I should keep that 5D block on lock. It seems like even when I follow these advice, occasionally, whoops, don't do that. That was too late. Occasionally, see, even standing, I'm not messing, it's not messing me up, right? But somehow, even so, and there, now it's messed up. Occasionally, I will mess this value up, even when I follow all my recommended steps. I would say I'm getting to be at least 95% consistent with not messing it up. Also, since this only affects the 5D block that's optional, you can kind of live with, I'm just living with this. So I just wanted to say, I just wanted to put that out there, that in the previous tutorials I acted like, just do this and it works. And now I'm more like, I'm a little more nuanced about it. So I'm generally looking for, okay, so that's a high bounce. Oh yeah, I forgot my rules even. High bounce, that's a late unmorph. See, I think if I unmorphed just a tiny bit later, I could have messed up my block there. It's a little bit more common. I don't know why I'm getting like, it's a little bit more common for me to get a bounce like that, and then I unmorph early, and then it's safe every time. I haven't had a problem with this one, I don't think. Well, I don't know about safe every time. I think it's usually safe, though. I shouldn't say it's safe every time. I don't know for sure. So that was kind of a higher fall through, later unmorph. Okay. Let's so I'd probably unmorph even like that early. Okay, we're here. Once we get to here, we're going to listen for 3 thuds. After the 3rd thud, we're going to go into a down back. Do not anticipate. You don't want to start your down back on the 3rd thud. It should be you hear the 3 thuds, then you down back. Just like this. And you'll see Samus coming on screen. Once you see her, you can go ahead and move. You can start holding left, and you can prepare to jump up here. We're going to go here, and we're going to do you can do like a little mock ball if you want. Or if you want to be really fancy, you can try to mock down here. That'd be harder. You can see how I'm like losing some of my, sometimes when I land here, I lose, I'm still at FB, but sometimes I'm at FC already here. And then there I lost one. Like, I think you can lose one down here somehow too. Like you can just kind of lose, but as long as we keep it at F something, we're okay. We're coming down. We want to come down and roll down here. You actually get into this spot, and then you want to go right, unmorph left, jump, light tap, even lighter than that. Even lighter than that if you can. That'll work, but the lighter the tap, the better. You could do better than this even. Yeah, like that. That's perfect. The lighter the tap, the better to set up. I'll just do that one more time. Oh, you might be wondering, how do you know how far you went? You can hold item cancel and then select and then release item cancel, and you go into this blinking select mode where the game will, once you shoot a missile, then it will automatically deselect missiles. That's what that's for. But we can use it as a timer. And I would actually recommend setting this even earlier than I did here. So I will often set this at the very beginning when I'm started my movement. I just forgot to do it because we got talking here. But we don't really need it until the upcoming section here. So 3/3, down back. Okay, that wasn't a very good morph mock ball. See. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I count 6. You could count to 7 if you want of those blinking, and then come out here, jump up, quick tap left, and then you can just keep jump held, push right, and that is the block shuffler right there. Okay, now for this section, I need to go back over to door skip. And apparently I need to do it again. You need to have door skip selected when you do that. Okay. So down back, hold left. Oops, I forgot to mock. Not a big deal. Just maybe count an extra time. Count to 7. Jump, tap. Okay. Now, when we do the door skip, or when we do the block shuffler, I guess I didn't mention it. I mentioned it earlier, but the block shuffler, of course, it's overwriting the room data. We can see like the whole room layout looks different here, right? It will always look something like this, but you could see that it changed, right? It changed pretty significantly when we hit that block. This number that we see here, 116C, that leading 1 is actually going to control a block that shows up over here, this block. This block is pretty important for the 5D route. And since I didn't do anything special with that block shuffler, I did not go for 5D skip. I'm going to need to land on this block. If your movement is fast enough, you can get it. This is like a timer, this 116C. You can get that number to start with a 0. It could be like 0F something. If that happens, this block won't be here. It'll be air instead. And you will not be able to do this routing because this block right here that I can almost touch, this blue block, we can't even, with a crouch jump, we would hit it. Oops. You need to be in a very specific location and a specific pose to not crash the game with that block, but this is exactly where we need to go. And therefore, we need that green slope block to exist. If it doesn't exist, your run's over. So if you're going for consistency, you might actually want to do a couple things a little bit slower. Like Drewski could run into that problem fairly regularly. I ran into it the other day. It's not that hard to do. Like if you do everything the way you want to, you will be fast enough. And that's even with the slow Screaming Up. Like I'm not even talking fast Screaming Up, just slow Screaming Up, but do everything the way you want to, and you can be fast enough to beat that timer out. That's actually the reason why I recommended that you have the fast teleport off. That timer actually starts from when you load your save. So waiting out the extra seconds for that animation affects how this timer works. So I think it's important for practice purposes that we do that. Okay, but since I was kind of explaining things and did bonk in a few places, like that time was not really a problem for me. All right, so let's Yeah, whatever. Missed it. Not a big deal. Okay, we're going to set up here. So that wasn't a perfect tap, but it's good enough. Now, when we go into this block shuffler with jump held, if we hold right and just before we get to the block shuffler, we're going to do a quick down left motion. You can get the block shuffler to do a double shuffle. And that's the trick we need to do 5D skip. If you can tell, and we can use this missile to tell if it happened. That was a double. That took like twice as long. Okay. So normal, we can see the missile like stopped blinking for a little while. So we're using this missile blinking to kind of give us a visual on what's happening. That was a double. You can actually get a triple, but that works too. But in order to go for 5D skip, you need at least a double or triple. Triple is just, you just lost 37 frames for no reason. But it looks easy to do with the tile viewer. It's kind of hard to do in practice. It's you can use the sound, the whoosh whoosh. That's kind of what you want to hear. So that was the one. The first one wasn't good. The second one was there. I also, when I said go down right, down left, so you're holding right and then you go down left, you also want to be holding right when you come out of the shuffle. So then you want to go back to down. Like I just go right, down, left, down, right. Down, left, right. Like I just kind of go back and forth with the D-pad so that I'm holding right when I get out of here. And that way, if I miss it, I'm holding right in time to land here. You don't want to fall here. Okay, let's do the route as if we didn't get it. Also, if you hear that space jump sound, then you know you missed it because we're pretty sure. I mean, you can tell from the visual as well. Okay, if we miss it, there are some ways to get over that green block. If you have both angles, you can do some normalized movement. You could read antimatterhorse's document on it. I don't have. I have L bound to dash, so I don't have the option of I don't have that normalized movement option available to me. So what I do is hold right, tap right, or sorry, hold jump, tap right. Then you can run. Hold jump, tap right again, or press. I shouldn't say hold jump there. Like press jump. I'm not really holding it the whole time. Press jump, tap right. Press jump, tap right. Morph, nudge, nudge, nudge. I'm waiting for the thud. I hear the thud. Okay. Unmorph, hold left, press. So I'm going to jump, release jump, and then press jump again so that I can be holding jump while I'm grounded. I'm pushing left, and now I'm going to push right. Normalize jump right to here. Left, jump, turn right. That gets us into this position here. We need to have missiles selected. I trust it having it actually selected. I suppose you could probably keep it in the flashing state, but I trust it more in the, oh, it might be easy to fire a P shot if you have it in that state. Whereas firing two missiles will be fine. Firing a missile on a P shot is going to ruin the X-ray collection. So that's why I do this. And then we need to crouch. And then we also need to pause. If I don't pause, well, it might work in the practice hack, but we're not gonna try it because it works in the practice hack. It sometimes depends on what you do for practice setup. Like if you go into here, it might make it work, but in the real and sometimes in the practice hack, if you don't pause, you will crash. Well, actually, what will happen is it will cause a door transition to appear, and you'll jump in the door transition, and you'll leave the room. So it's not you crash; it's just you'll leave parlor, and the run's over. Now remember, we hit a block shuffler, so when we unpause, room's gonna look like this now. This is actually to our benefit. As we jump while crouched, we're gonna fire shot. We have to fire shot to be in a specific pose to make that work without crashing the game. Now, return left, and we're gonna, if you could see that white four square thing, we're gonna try to jump over there like this. This is almost too far. You kind of want to be more like here. This is pretty good. You can be a tiny bit further left than this. Now I'm going to turn right, morph, bomb, unmorph, left, and I'm going to end up over here on this these green squares now. And then we're going to do right. I'm going to do the jump thing where I'm holding jump now. Spin jump, land here. Let me see this. Oh, geez, I almost did too far right. Let's see what happens if I turn right. Oh, yeah, I'm too far right. Okay. I didn't actually think that I was that far. I'm keeping my save back here so I can do the 5D skip next. So let's do this again. Oops. Well, I'm going to reset. Don't do that in real run because it'll mess up the x-ray part, not anything before that. So maybe you want to be more like here. I didn't realize that was actually too far, that this wouldn't have worked. You could do this. You could, if you land here, be like, okay, what I'm going to do is do everything the same as I just did it. And then instead of doing a normal grounded right turn, you could do a turn in the air. When you turn in the air, you turn less distance. So now I'm further left. When I come over here and you could also do the same thing here, jump, turn right. So that's options too. Now this next jump, if you have both angles, you can do some sort of fancy spin jump to get over to where near where that yellow block is to the right, that transition block, but not actually on it. I just hold jump and right for a bit. Oh, geez. It's overconfident. Let me get back over there. Like this. Just hold jump right a bit and you get in this block. And then any jump and movement to the left gets us here. We're trying to get to here. So with the antimatterhorse method, you end up like here, and then you do like a little running jump to get over here. But I think landing here is actually faster. So, and this is not a difficult jump. It is possible to like be too far left here, and then you like bonk this. But like even that worked. So like you've got some leeway there. Once we get to this block, you can actually, another trick, I haven't actually been doing this, but you can do this too. Instead of doing a jump, like let's say I have jump held already because I just jumped over here, but I want to turn right, but I don't want to do a spin jump. You can hold angle and turn right, and you stay grounded, and I still have jump held, and now I can just hold left. Now, if I land here, this gets to be, do you remember where I said when you fall and like right after door skip, I was talking about this sub Y position, this 913 value here, this being an F, and how like I did that long fall and I was morphed and it made this turn into an F. Because this is an F, this blue block is here. And because of that, we can just run off of it and go right to here. This is the 6F block we want to run into. If this were not here, then you have to come over to the slope. You have to jump, turn left, and then run off and do that. Run off like this block wouldn't be here. Do the run from there. So it's a little bit of like you land here, move right, turn, jump, turn left in the air, then you can run off. So it's just faster to have that block already be there because you can just run straight off. Now, you can't do it a second time though. Like I already did the thing. So doing it a second time, I'm just gonna fall. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to here. Now we're gonna do the 5D skip route. Okay, I didn't do it right. Still didn't do it right. Okay, there we go. Okay, with the 5D skip route, we're gonna do wall jump instead. So I've still got jump held, so I'm gonna do that angle trick again to face left, and now we're gonna go into this and wall jump off this and land here. Drewski actually lands on this white block, so whatever setup you have. You may recall we actually were on this block when we did the 5D route. This was the green 4 square we landed on. And then from here, we did this. Well, don't run. Don't do that. I should have let go of right sooner. And from here, we jumped up here. It's the exact same route, but we did not have to go through that 5D block. We didn't have to pause. We didn't have to do the missile thing, the bomb move over, all that stuff. We avoided all of that just by going straight up here. But it does require that block shuffler thing, because if you don't do the block, if you don't get the extra shuffle, then you do need to go to that 5D block, because that affects X-ray collection. I don't want to get into that. I could spend all day talking about that. So, okay, this part takes some practice. Well, that was a triple. There's a 14. That works too. We're set up for it, but doing this blind and this here, it's quite a bit of practice to get to a point where I could land kind of in the same spot consistently. Now I hold angle, face right, land here, turn right, jump up here, any jump to this point. Now I'm still holding jump, angle, and then we're going to just hold left, oops, and then hold left and run right into this block, and we get here. The point is, we get here. Okay? So either whether you do the 5D route or the 5D skip, we're going to get back to this point. The only difference is whether we've paused or not, right? Because if we pause, it's going to look like this. And this is going to be relevant. I'm going to talk about this in a bit. But okay, let's say we're not paused. We're going to hold jump and land, and now we're here. We're still holding jump. We're going to go right, angle, turn left, let go of angle, right, angle, turn left, right, angle, turn left, right, angle, turn left. And then one more, we're going to hold right longer this time. Land right here, okay? This is where we need to get to. X-ray is actually below us, and we got to do one more trick here. We got to unmorph under this block and do that. And we have to unmorph on it, under it. So this number right now is 16. It's normally 15. You remember I got that triple, so it happens to be 16 now. That works. 15 or 16 both work here. Let's do this again. We do it a little bit faster this time. By the way, when we hit that block shuffler, that starts a timer. It's a pretty long timer. It might be like 8 minutes. But when that timer runs out, the game will probably crash. The game will crash. And some of these other blocks you've been hitting, like that 6F block that I ran into that kind of turned white and I couldn't run into it a second time, that one also has a timer running. So if you're practicing this, you want to make sure you don't leave your controller sit for too long once you get into this block shuffler stuff, because there is a timer running in the background. So now that I'm sitting here yapping for like 30 seconds, reload my save to here, right? This count is 16. In most practice runs, it's going to be 15. I bonked this and it's 17. Most of the time, if you just bonk this, it's 16. This, it's over. Well, I didn't demo that right. Look, I landed, I hit the X-ray scope, right? It's down here. I did the down back thing. I'm going to explain the down back in a moment. Cool. It looks like I have X-ray. I don't have X-ray. I can't morph. It's because that count was wrong. So it is important that we get under this block. Now, if you happen to pause, and you could actually go for 5D skip and still pause at some point, just so the screen looks like this. Look at how we can see where Samus is now. Hi, I'm here. We can actually use Samus's visor in relation to this like power bomb door. There's like a line. There's a black line that I use as a reference. Like, see how her visor is not quite to the line? It's close. When she jumps, her visor actually moves forward. I didn't notice that. But when she's not jumping, she hasn't quite reached the line yet, right? So I know we haven't hit the block yet. So now let's morph. And if I were to unmorph here, I'd be like, oh, we haven't hit the block yet. Roll over a little bit. Okay, now the visor's past the line. I know we hit the block. There are other ways to tell we've hit the block. If you jump and you land on the block, well, then you know you hit it. So if I were to do this like here, I fall all the way down. But now here, I land higher. You can see kind of see Samus. So you can do it with the unpause view as well. Another way we can tell, unmorph. So I unmorph, right? Now if I morph again and try to unmorph, I can't unmorph again. So that's another way you can tell whether the block was hit or not. Once the block is hit, we need to get pressed against the block, turn right. We need to get in this position specifically. There may be other positions that work, but this is the one that works the most consistently for me. I'm always going for this when I go for the down back. Turn right here, not a jump turn, a regular turn. Okay, this is the starting position for a run for the down back. So that's just something to know. So if we go back to here, what I actually like to do, I'm facing right at this point. So I like to do a little bit longer nudge and then a shorter nudge. Because like the longer nudge is spent turning Samus around and then the shorter one moves her forward a bit. Morph. Slight nudge to unmorph. Now, I just go. I just assume I did it. Because it's blind anyway. As you can see, I actually just by a hair missed it. And in this case, I'm going to miss out. So I take a little bit of risk here and just trust I'm going to do it right. You could feel free to take a little bit longer time and make sure you do it right, or you could even pause. But the pause is it's easier to tell. Now, another way this can happen is, let's say my nudges are stronger. Like this is a good one. Okay. Watch what happens if I go right and then left. I'm actually still in the block. And if I turn right now, I'm in the wrong position. Well, I couldn't demo it. Oops. I crashed when I did my down back because I was too far to the left. So even though I did right, left, right, and you can actually do right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and I'm still in the wrong position. So I've taken to doing like extra right lefts to try to get in the right position because you can right left all day. You could also jump out and go like this. That's another way to do it. That might actually be. At first, I thought my way was faster, but the more left rights I throw in, maybe this actually does make more sense to do it this way. If you happen to be over here, one right left will probably do it, right? But you can do right left all day, and you'll just do this, and you'll stay on the block. Just make sure your last left is a little bit longer, and then a tap right to make sure you're here. However you want to set this up. Okay, so now we're set up for the down back. I think of this as, I call this the cheat code down back, with the cheat code being right, left, down, right, because you want to run off the block, you want to do a quick turnaround, and then you want to get in your down back. Right, left, down, right, boom, 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 boom. If once you get the movement right, left, down, right, you can get this to be 90% consistent. But I'm surprised that one worked. That one did not work. Yeah, you can. I'm actually surprised I'm doing it so well today. But it did take me some practice to get to that point. If you can remember, this was a while ago. I mentioned something about the screaming up and shooting the gamer and having too many sprites on screen. When you land here, there's a block underneath me here. There's like air beneath me. There's a blue block and the air block. This air block can be spikes. If it's spikes, you're probably toast. In theory, you could still morph and roll to the left, which is where we want to get to. Actually, not there. Here, I should be holding left. In theory, you can still do this. We got to fall to an exit. We got to get out of here. We got our X-ray. I actually have it. I let go of dash a while ago. Whoops. That might not even be a prac hack thing. That might happen in real game. Because there are blocks that like indicate to the game, go 5 up and look at this block. And then you go 5 up and the block says, go 5 down and look at this block. And you get into a loop. So sometimes a crash is more like acts more like a soft lock. Because you're just constantly looping. But I just try to avoid killing that gamer early, just so that I've only had that be a spike block one time in practice. Or maybe it wasn't even practice, it might have been in the task that I was making. I don't even know if it's happening in practice. Okay. So, X-ray collection. Okay, we got it. Now, we're going to morph and hold left. And then what I do is I just stay morphed. This is somewhat new, so I'm actually going to bring the 80% glitch people. If you saw my previous tutorials, welcome back. I'm going to bring you into this because what I do now is I just morph and I stay morphed the whole time. So morph, bonk, first bomb, second bomb, land, and then we're trying to go right here. That's where our door transition is. So that worked. Okay. So I morph and hold left and I keep holding left. When I hear the bonk, the first bonk, I lay a bomb. When that bomb goes off, I lay another bomb. When that bomb goes off, all that does is alert me to when I'm going to land. You need to keep holding left until you land. Once you land, you need to move over 2 tiles worth. And the camera's kind of scrolling around. It makes it hard to see. We do have like this smorgasbord in the background, you know, the glitched graphics and stuff. It does kind of help. You can see how many tiles you move, but also the camera's going everywhere. So let's see what it looks like in real time. So there I went 2 blocks. If I go 3 blocks, I'm probably going to be cooked. Something I want to talk about while we're here. I'm just going to kind of look around here. Ah, yeah, here we go. See, this is like random white block in the middle of nowhere. There's another one. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, these ones might not be as random. I might have jumped too high. But the point is that blocks like that can appear. I think Drewski saw an orange one. These might be it. These are unfortunately RNG driven. So if you're familiar with how the space-time beam has a little bit of RNG on console, where the games sometimes crash, and actually it's like a lot of RNG because it's a heated room. It's like very easy to crash the game for certain space beam time beams. In the same way, these blocks can randomly appear. Now, because it's not a heated room, it happens during the block shuffler. It's not, you don't get that many of these, but it is possible that you're doing this. I don't know why I did 3 bombs. That you could just run into one on your way down. Whatever method you use. With my method, what I'm doing now where I'm morphed, I'm very likely to just, that's it, the run will die. However, it's actually pretty unlikely that this is going to happen in a run. It's just something to be aware of. Okay, I'm going to turn the sprite viewer off. Just do this. There's Samus. See how the screen's like kind of scrolling wildly? You can wait if you want. And this is what we're looking for a door transition. Okay. One last time. If you do it right, you can fall right in. Landing on here is fine too. Okay. Oh, I actually like. Oh, this is an elevator block. You can safely land on some of these. You don't always know from looking at them. These are all elevator blocks? Well, that one's not. And it's actually okay to land on the morphed, but as soon as I stand, I get a little icon there above the 12%. Now the game thinks I'm riding an elevator, and when I go to the next room, it's going to freeze the game waiting for the elevator to finish. You can clear this by pausing and unpausing. That will clear that status. And now since I morphed, it stays cleared. If I stand up, it's going to come back. So usually you clear it at the very end. You can actually route both the 80% glitched and 0% glitched, the 0% that you don't land on any of these blocks if you want. I just wanted to point that out. Another thing we got to talk about here. So I usually land here and then I come over here. We got to talk about this. Like, what is this? What is that? I wasn't in a door transition. What happened? So let's turn on the wraparound and we can see what's going on here. And now we can suddenly see like this glitchy blue block show up next to it. And we can also see, I actually should, for YouTube purposes here, slow this down. Okay, no block here. That's weird that it went 2 in a row. There it shows up. Okay, so now the block is there. What in the heck's happening, right? So if you're like, wait, why is it like not showing up that often? Huh. I wonder if the rules are independent of, like the rules for flipping which frame are independent of like the freeze frame here. I didn't actually aware of that. But what's happening, right? Like why are there sometimes blocks here and sometimes not? So this is the X wraparound effect. Normally, like let's say I'm standing on these 2 blocks here, okay? And this is block 1 on the left and block 2 on the right. And since I'm standing, I'm actually kind of falling, right? The game is trying to apply gravity. It's doing a downwards check every frame. So it's going to do half the time, it's going to start left and go right. Start with block 1. It sees, oh, that's a block, standing, done. Or the other time, it's going to start on block the right, block 2. Oh, that's a solid block, standing, done. If I move over here, we're checking blocks 2 and 3 now. When I check block 3 first, it's like, oh, that's air. Let's keep looking. And it's going to go right to left, and it's going to see the second block. This is actually that same taco tank coin flip effect. That's why, like, when you expand to grab the E-tank, you need the game to start on the left. So you find the E-tank first, as opposed to starting on the right and finding the ceiling block, which pushes you out of the ceiling, and then you can't get the tank. It's that same sort of effect. But normally it doesn't really matter, right? Whether I start on the right or the left, it's going to check the same 2 blocks. Unless, and like here it's checking blocks 0 and 1. But here, like if I were to go a little bit further left, well, that's interesting. It's actually keeping me upright. I didn't think it would do that. So now what's happening, this is going to be jarring. Let's go back. Oh, I'm in the floor. Okay. What's happening is, see, when I cross over the X boundary, you can actually see that. So right now we're at like, low numbers, 20, 18, 11, 0C, 08. When I go over here though, FFE8, right? So you can treat a value like this as negative, like a small negative number, or you can treat it as a large positive number. When we're talking about room collision, you're supposed to be in the positives. You're not supposed to be out of bounds in negatives. The game always treats this as a positive number. So when it's looking up where the room data is and you're over on the left side, it's coming up with a completely different location based on a large positive number than these small numbers over here. So when you're on the edge between, in this X equals 0 wraparound point, on one frame, we start right to left. We start at block 0, and then we go left. The game does know, oh, you're subtracting 1 to go left. So you check 0 and -1. It checks those 2 blocks that are close to each other. On the other frame, you start left to right, we start with a really large number. So we're checking somewhere very far away. And then you check 1 to the right of that. So you add 1, and that's also some very large number far away. So 1 frame, you're checking 2 blocks that are in one location, and the other frame, you're checking 2 blocks that are in a completely different location. And what ends up happening is 1 frame, you're on solid blue, and the other frame, you're in the air. And that allows you to 1 frame you're falling, 1 frame you're not falling. And that's why you hear da-da-da-da-da-da-da, because you're constantly landing and falling and landing and falling. And then that transition block is also like every other frame, you are checking where that transition block is. And you only have to catch that once and you're gone. So I like to have this this wraparound view turned on. This is pretty new. If you were watching my previous tutorials, 80% glitch, that wasn't a thing. I didn't have that option before. Now we have it. Okay, so I just want to make people be aware of what's going on there. So I fall down to here, bounce, nudge over to here. I stand up. You can actually see Samus over here, and then I do a moonfall and kind of go like that. See, I avoid this. You want to try to avoid this pink block, because if you see how it turns into a blue block, and now it is annoying and leading our way. Well, I bunked it. Because we want to kind of have like a running jump over here to get over this and kind of go fall over here. There's other ways to do this. I'm just going to go over what I do. I think antimatterhorse actually moonfalls like this. So that's an option. And you can go this way. I don't like this way because I have a hard time like not running into this jank stuff over here. And then, oops, I took a door transition. Now, can't take any door transitions. So I land here, bounce over here, moonfall, hold right a bit longer, jump. If I do it right, I don't even need the second jump. Okay, that was pretty far. I kind of moved too far over here. You want to be more like falling like here. You want to see Samus kind of fall here. If you see Samus land here, then you landed in this little thing. I'm looking for her to land here, fall down this way. Once I hear a thud, short jump, land like here, morph, fall through. Now, you can see I'm not touching this door transition here. Why is that? Because when I bonked this, my position is all in the right. I'm all to the right of this line here. So I'm not actually like the practice set cannot show this overlap perfectly. I actually need to be just a bit further over to start getting this nudge effect to happen, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, let's do that one more time. Oh, really would normally not have. I don't know why I had the item cancel selected. Do this. That's kind of acceptable. Land here. And then we're going to fall through and do this one more time. Bounce there. Like this. Okay, and this is where we want to be. Now, if you're doing any percent glitched, by the way, epilepsy warning from here on out, we're going to have a lot of orange screens. What you're going to do is you're going to select X-ray. You're going to tap X to lay a bomb, and then you're going to tap left, fall through, and start falling through the little glitched zone. When the bomb goes off, you're going to mash up to unmorph. I think that you have to be checking on a frame where there's air, and so you got to mash up because, like, in theory, every time you push up, there's a 50-50 on whether you're actually in air or not. So mash that up button. Once you start unmorph, X-ray will fire. Once X-ray starts, immediately switch from pushing up to pushing right and holding right for like a second or so. So let's do that. Bomb and then quick tap left. Whoops, I didn't hear myself lay the bomb. See, I wasn't mashing left enough. Oh, I didn't have X-ray selected. That's what's the problem. Okay, let go. You can actually deselect dash in that little window, and you should land right here with the game exploding. Just go right to this door. You can't see the door. You still need to shoot it, and go finish the game. Game's over. By the way, if you want to visualize this a little bit, you can actually set this X-ray to preserved. I keep forgetting to have dash. I keep forgetting to have X-ray selected for this. Oh, this will be interesting. So now I'm going to deselect. Let's see if I get in the right spot here. Okay, that one still worked. That was pretty close to not working. Watch what happens if we're too far. I'm now kind of like on the left side of Parlor. I could still get through there. This is like where the Terminator blocks are. You can still finish the game. You kind of come over here. These slope blocks act really funny. So you kind of want to stay in the air if you can. I'm having a little bit of more trouble with this than I usually do. Oh, come on. It's not that hard. It might be a little bit easier if you don't have the tile viewer on, because that is definitely creating some extra lag doing this. Get over to this door. If you shoot just facing right, it doesn't like to open, but an angle shot opens it up, run through, and you're back to where you need to be. Everything's good. So one more time, we're gonna, one more time, we're going to bomb, tap left, have dash, or have X-ray selected, bomb, tap left. When the bomb goes off, mash up, then hold right for like a second, let go, deselect X-ray. Fall through, shoot this door, and go win the game. That's any percent glitched. The rest of this tutorial, we're going to talk about what's different for 0%. Okay. For 0%, we want to roll off to the left here, but if we roll off right here, oops, one of those blocks is an elevator block, and we can safely bounce off of it, but the one to the left is not. So rolling off from here is not consistent. What we need to do is stand, turn right, jump, turn left, turn right, be in this position. Now it's consistent. What AMH does is go all the way over here. I believe he falls and lands here, and then does a morph, bomb, like this, to get in this block, okay? And then from here, he does some sort of like double angle jump to land on this block in a very specific location. I always land here. This is not as good as where antimatterhorse lands. The thing I don't like about his method is you can actually land in that green block sooner, and you can do it without having this elevator symbol. Like he's gonna have to pause and unpause to clear that, but you don't have to do it that way. That said, it is more consistent to do it that way, so just keep that in mind. I have lost runs to what I'm trying to do. Actually, that's not even what I'm trying to do anymore. I'm trying to just unmorph like right here. I'm trying to land on it just more direct. And if you land in the right spot, you do a spin jump from here, you land in the spot here. What I need to do then from here is turn left, jump, turn right, turn left, jump, turn right, turn left, and get into this position here. This is like the target position. Unfortunately, if we could just normalize ourselves with this, that would be great, but we can't do that, unfortunately. To time this out, I lay a bomb, I press shot at the same time as I start pressing left. When I hear the first bomb, I press bomb again. When I hear the second bomb, then I unmorph. But the timing on this is specific. This position will work, but like if you start anticipating, oops, you landed too early. It might seem like, oh, you can recover from this. Well, let me try it again. This position looks good, right? But it's not, because I'm too far to the right on that block. So you cannot anticipate these bombs, and you need to make sure you're consistent with pressing bomb and left at the same time. Like, you just got to do this consistently. If you end up too lax, I think this works. You can sometimes get into trouble where sometimes you don't unmorph by pressing up, and I need to push up extra times. You definitely need to be all the way unmorphed before you do this jump, so you can land here. That'll still work, so as long as you land somewhere on the block. But, somewhere on the block and not too far to the right. Okay. So however you want to get there, left, turn right, left, jump right, left, and we're in this position. Okay, let's save here. This is gonna be our first X-ray. I'm going to do this in stages because the problem is once you turn the screen orange, it's gonna be orange, right? It's gonna, we're gonna have to kind of practice it that way, but I want to be able to show what's going on. So I'm going to practice. We're going to start with this, and then we'll switch at some point. Okay. So we're facing left, which is fine. We're going to hold X-ray. Then we're going to immediately push right. You don't have to be immediate, actually, but you want to push right. And then we want to go up. And then even without the screen changing colors, normally we'd be looking for a blue color. But what we can do instead is wait for the background to kind of change, like right here, background changed. And then it also does the scrolling effect, and it puts Samus on screen, which is really nice. You don't actually have to hold X-ray that long. By the way, you can check these values, these 0% values, except for these last two. These last two are harder to check, but we can check these. I don't usually check them that often. I'll probably check them once here after I do the second X-ray. We're currently using 2 different X-rays to set the values we need. Whoops. By the way, that probably just messed everything up. You don't want to do extra X-rays. If this happens in an actual run, what I would recommend doing is just holding X-ray again and just repeating the X-ray you wanted. But know that may not solve it. I don't even know if that was right. I just kind of waited for the background to do something different. Oh, and there you go. That was definitely not right. Let's see. It's probably because that earlier X-ray did something bad. So you want to be careful with that. The second X-ray is so close by that I do keep X-ray selected between the first one and the second one. But you just need to be careful about not doing what I just did. Okay. Press right, push up, wait for the screen to change. Samus is in position. We're going to jump, and we're going to try to visually land about here. Okay, so we're going to do this you can kind of see where Samus is. This is actually right, because when I push right, I land here, and I'm in the block. You can also land here, but we need to be here. and we need to be pushing right. We need to crouch, and then we're going to hold. This one we might need the angles for. So this might be the only one you can't do without being able to see the colors. So let's go ahead, and for this one only, we're going to put X-ray angle up, and we will select RAM watch. And I guess I might as well pick this one. Interesting, that is already at 0. So this value is at 0, but which is what we need. But the other values must not be. I'm curious what happens if I just hold this. So okay, it looks like that value does stay at 0. The angle we want is actually 37. What would normally happen is the color would normally turn. Oh, you can't actually see the difference. Okay. Okay, look on the right. See how like the right suddenly changed? That is the same point where the color would normally turn white, the whole screen being white here. Okay. Then you want to push down to get back into orange and down one more time, not 2 more times. It's interesting that actually went 2 more times. I think you want 2 taps. Maybe 3 taps does work. I'm not actually sure. 37 is the one I want to go off of. That's going to cause the screen to scroll some more, and then we're ready for next stage. And at this stage, we can go ahead and check these values. So we can check this one, FF00. If we look at what we're looking for, we want that to start with an F. Okay. This one, FF00, we want it to end with a 0. Yeah. And then open door is also, so they're all FF00. And then this one here is exactly 0. This one has to be all zeros. So that's all the setup we're trying to do with these 2 X-rays, okay? Now from here, we're gonna wanna fall. You can do a moonfall, but you need to move left a little bit first. So what happens if I moonfall like quickly? Well, don't quite do that, jeez. That was really bad. But did you see those door transition blocks that I was about to run into? That's what, you can run into those. If you moonfall a little bit further to the left of that platform, then you can get around them. So, actually, you know what I want to do here? I want to show what would happen if I have the colors. So this is what it should look like. Orange, white, and then we're going to go blue. Okay. And then you're like this. Like that. See, I fell a little bit further. Up until it turns white. Tap down one more time. And let's see what our values look like. Okay, those look good. That one looks good. That one looks good. Okay, so our values all look good. If you only tap down once, these values will look good, but the game will crash. So you got to tap down at least twice. Okay, and we can see we can't really see much. Then this is what we're going to be moving with the orange. So let's go back. Let's go ahead and go back to this. Oops. And let's see where we can see what we're doing. Okay. Okay. Save here. That works for avoiding it, but you can do moonfall to avoid it like that. So once I avoid these blocks, then I start holding right. I forgot to mention when you're doing these moonfalls, you can land in the floor and get kind of stuck in the floor. So you can imagine here, we're trying to run to the right here, but sometimes you just don't move right. And in that situation, you need to just recognize that that's happening and do a jump and then get yourself out of the floor and then continue. It can happen on any of the moonfalls, but it tends to happen the most on this particular one. So just wanted to point that out. I want to be kind of over here. And then we're into the landing site movement. So kind of the same type of movement we were doing before. We're falling through. I count that moonfall there as moonfall 0. And then when I get down into here, to this we were doing earlier, moonfall 1. You got to count these out. We got to do 4 of these. Now it is kind of nice the background kind of gone, and this is true with the orange as well. We could see a lot more of Samus. It's a little bit easier. Moonfall 2. Moonfall 3. Man, if I could only do this my PB. I had some trouble with landing site. This out of bounds movement, once we get past that first part of landing on the green block, not that hard. But if you don't practice it, you might not be able to, you don't practice recoveries and stuff. I did not really show too much for recoveries. I should practice it more myself. You are going to lose time potentially to recoveries. Okay, we've done 4. Let's save here. We're going to fall down here, but hold left. Oh, don't do that. So we're going to hold left immediately. Hold left. You kind of want to land here. Ideally, you land like here. And we want to jump up to here. And we want to just break out this block. That's all we're doing. So fall like this. You do it like that. That is bad. Do not do that. 1 block. That's why it's kind of important to be kind of near the edge here so you don't overdo the jump. Kind of use Samus falling as a cue. Or you can just do that. Okay. Morph, right, left. We want to get to here, right here. Turn right, jump left. This exact position. We're going to not crouch. By the way, the x-rays go stand, crouch, stand, crouch. So this is the 3rd x-ray. We're going to stand. We're going to hold aim all the way down. This aim down is very fast. Okay. The other aim down ups have been kind of, and there's going to be aim down later that's very slow because you're changing a whole bunch of stuff. This particular one is not changing anything when it's facing left. So it's very fast. Once we're aimed down, turn right, everything's blinking, tap up once, things stop blinking. Now, if we want to check this value, we can go to this 0%. We can select this, but it's showing zeros. What's happening is these values here, I should have really just put them both in. These values here are in bank 7F. That's why they have the extra 1 next to it. They're in the other bank. So what we need to do is after putting them in, put this to F. And now all of a sudden we see, aha, the 5D value we're looking for, that is actually there. So we did do it correctly. We do have the value set here. I tend to deselect dash here or X-ray here so I can run. Jump, land on here. Quick run and jump to kind of get up to here. We want to get up to this spot here. This does get a little laggy with the tile viewer. I think it's laggy even in the real run. A little bit laggy here. Maybe not this laggy though. Now we're going to do 3 jump turn. Turn right, jump turn left. Now, you'll see there that I did full jumps and everything was fine. Antimatterhorse warns against this. It says that you can trigger these block. That blue block just to the right of Samus, like just to our right here, is the one we want to trigger, but we need to trigger it just the right way. I have had it before. One time, what happened? I triggered it early, just as antimatterhorse warned that can happen. So something about like jumping and turning. I don't know if that triggers like a wall jump check, even though you're not really in a wall jump pose. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but somehow I did trigger a crash just doing these jump turns. So I always try to do kind of short jumps. Just try not to get all the way up there to try to avoid having any sort of crash. Once we're in this position, morph, bomb, unmorph, face right. And I believe you stay in that crouch position and we get the x-ray. Now this is going to change the room geometry. I forgot to mention that the last time we got x-ray, that the room geometry changed. I just kind of like, I just completely glossed over it. I mentioned it in my other tutorials, but when you collect x-ray, it warps Samus's position. In this case, it also warps her position. The other thing I want to point out is right now we have 12%. I kind of glossed over that too. Collecting x-ray gives us all the items the first time. Now we collect x-ray, well, except for that. Remember the very first time I did it, I didn't have everything set up right and I didn't get anything. Now we're collecting x-ray again. Watch our percentage. It's down to 1%. So we've set everything up right where it is actually uncollected everything. Now the funny thing is we still, like, it looks like I have no items, right? But I still do. We still have everything equipped. So we still get to take care of that movement, the movement options. So what we want to do, we want to get up here, but we obviously don't want to land on these yellow blocks. Those are not good for us. Transition blocks. We need to get to a specific door transition. So what we're going to do is kind of get up here, spring ball. Can't spring ball from all the way to the bottom though. So jump up, morph, spring ball, and then you kind of bounce back and forth between this if you want. Eventually we want to get over to the right here, and then we want to land on this block. Face left, set up a spin jump to go over to here. Now from this position, and by the way, there are some spots on that block where you can kind of like where you can run into a door transition or where you don't land in the right spot. So beware of that. Now, what antimatterhorse does is actually lands like here and does some weird like moonfall thing and gets into the exact position he needs to up here somehow. I couldn't figure that out. What I do instead, you can bonk this, by the way. This is an elevator block. What I try to do is get over here, jump, and bonk this thing. So I'm aligned with it. But you can't jump too high. That block above our head is a transition block, and you can't jump that high. So jump, bonk into this. By the way, if you accidentally fall off, oops, you can recover this, but now we got to pause and unpause to clear that elevator state. So bonk this, turn left, jump, turn right. Now we're in the specific position we need. This last x-ray is a crouch. Aim down, down, down until we start seeing a blinking Samus. Go up until you don't see a blinking Samus, and then go back down until you see blinking Samus. This is the right spot. And we can actually see that. So see how it's a FF4A, FF81, FFC1. We want 8-1. That's the value we want. Okay? So now in this position, run off of here. Once we land, we can jump. Careful not to go in those door transition blocks here. Careful not to jump too high into that door transition block. Okay, now what happened here? Why did I crash? One possibility. Remember how I said we can't sit around too long when we're out of bounds? I've been kind of doing a lot of chatting. We did pick up that x-ray thing. That has the same sort of shuffler effect. I suspect that's what happened here. I suspect I just ran out of time. I'm actually kind of surprised it was that quick, but I have been doing a lot of yapping. So it's possible. We're going to go back to here, and we're going to do the whole thing again. Okay? Aim down, right, up 1, up here. Land here, right, jump, turn left, right, jump, turn left, right, jump, turn left. See how short those jump turns were? Okay, I didn't lay the bomb the first time. I think because it's just so laggy because of the tile viewer. Morph, jump, jump, spin. See, like this. See that transition block over your head? You can potentially hit that too if you're not careful. Like this. Aim down. Run off. Jump. Jump here without much angle held so I don't run into door transition blocks. Once we run all the way to the right, jump, hold jump, left, land right here. If you need to pause, pause now to clear that elevator status, and we're ready for the final jump, which is this door transition up at the top. If you have both angles, you can hold both angles and do a straight jump. I just hold jump and then left almost immediately after. You don't want to do a spin jump, but jump and almost immediately left after. You want to go past the x equals 0, this x equals 0 line, and then once you're past it, you want to hold back to the right, and we got to hit the door transition as we're moving to the right. And that can happen too where you fly through it. Let's try it again. That'll work. It's in some ways it's easier to do without all the tile viewer stuff. You can actually see Samus and see her positioning. So when I saw the Samus positioning on the second one, I knew we did it right. If you hit that door transition in the wrong way, you will end up in the wall instead of here. We need to take a door transition to this tube, and we need to land in the tube. The reason we need to do that is we're going to head right to a safe station. If we were to head left, the game is now ending. Cool. There's just one problem. If you look at our percentage, we are currently sitting at 1%. And this is now a gray door. We cannot finish the game now. So that's why we have to take this specific transition that all those other door transitions, they are taking us to Parlor or they're taking us somewhere else that is just not helpful to us. We need to get to the tube so that we can go right. Okay, let's do this one more time. This time I want to have the, let's do it in vanilla here. And we'll turn off the tile viewer as well. Normally this would all be orange. You can kind of see this is like the place I want to jump off of, right up here. Okay. Now, normally in the orange, you can't see any of this except for maybe that L. Now that's my dash button. I noticed that on antimatterhorse's screen, you couldn't even see like whether that was B or A. I don't, it's a different color. So for me, you could see the L. It's kind of funny, but you can't see anything else out of this. But you can see that Samus is kind of like her feet are just there and everything else is hidden. It's kind of how you know it. You can kind of tell once you know what you're looking for, whether you got this or not. Okay. Normally this would, again, be all orange, but it does kind of look like this as far as like, you don't really have too much for visual cues. So now it's like, where's this block at? There, I felt some resistance there, I think. So I think I'm in the right spot. Aim down. It's interesting the screen's not turning orange. I think the orange effect only happens from the earlier X-rays. So again, this would all be orange. That looks good. Okay. From here, We're basically in the home stretch. Run to the right. We do want to take damage. So you can take damage from this guy if you want to. Taking damage from that crab, you don't have to, but we are going to have to take damage in series. You can see that the elevator looks just slightly offset. Sometimes it's even more offset than that. So just something to be aware of, that your movement in this room can be a little funky. It does look like this. Like, so sometimes like these platforms are pretty offset. This looks pretty normal actually, but it can be more offset than this. Shoot this door open here. Land on the funky looking save station. Reset. After you see you start saving, you can mash A again. And this is, now, normally, this would take you to the intro cutscene. And you have to listen to the whole intro. During the intro, the game gives you, it actually gives you 900 missiles. It's kind of funny. Like, why? Samus fires 4 missiles at Mother Brain. The game gives you 900 for the cutscene. Who knows? Who knows what they were thinking? When it's done with the cutscene for the Mother Brain, it takes those 900 missiles away. And that is how we drop the last 1% down to 0%. Now, since I don't want to go through the tutorial, I'm just going to tell you that. As far as mashing A during the tutorial, it's only on the long walls of text. At the end of the long wall of text, there's going to actually be a little blinky icon. Basically, you want to be mashing A about when that blinking icon is going to appear. That's when you want to be saying, yes, please move to the next screen. All the other screens, it doesn't matter whether you're mashing A or not. It's going to be the same speed no matter what. So you only need to mash on the long walls of text when you're at the end of the wall text. Series is pretty similar, but we do have all of our movement options. I actually like to do a full jump here, like this. Actually, even you can do even better than that. I don't know if that's optimal. This is what I do. Obviously, since we have speed booster, we can do a little bit. You know, we do these rooms faster than normal. Okay, so for Series Ridley, we do need to damage down, but because we have screw attack, we can just hold angle and run and jump into, and keep angle held. You want to kind of get into a run, so I didn't do it well. I'm going to try to save closer to when. You want to do it like that. Obviously, don't overdo it. It's not that hard to do. You want to run a little bit before you get hit, because otherwise you kind of have a slower start. So there you go. Now this timing is a little bit tougher. That's about as best that you can do. Slightly better than that, but it's hard. Like, if you really want to like grind this out, you can go fast. But for the most part, like, this is pretty similar. Like, you'd think, like, oh, getting a 50 series would be free. It's actually, like, not at all. I don't even think you can unless you got power bombs. So it's talked about. Now, this last part, if you can do a speedy jump here, you can do something like that. That's pretty fast. You can run along these too. I don't know if that's faster or not. You do need to do a speedy jump in order to land in that first platform in any reasonable amount of time. I had a pretty bad tile room. Otherwise, you can get a 48. It'd be hard, but you can get a 48. And then after that, you're just sitting through this cutscene one final time. Once we get onto Zebes, the planet's going to be exploding. All we got to do is mash down to re-enter the ship, and that will complete the 0%. We've got the music off. Should have turned the flashing off for this. Mash down. There we go. And that's it. And that is the 0% category. I spent more time talking about any percent glitch than I did 0%. I actually do think the any percent glitched portion is a little bit more difficult than 0%, other than the very beginning, that first kind of roll off, landing on that platform, getting set up for the first X-ray. That's kind of tough. And then the jump, it's on screen, but that jump in the blue is a little bit tricky as well. Everything else about you just need to practice it for the 0%, and count how many times you've fallen. You know, you gotta count out the number of times you've been falling. That's not too bad. And I do expect the any percent glitch world record's very optimized to 837. Good luck even competing with that. Both my PB and AMH's world record were third try door skips. So sub 20 definitely going to happen. My PB had quite a few mistakes, even though I just sat here and talked about how that 0% portion is not that difficult. It's still like, oops, I'm a little lost. I did a lot of jumping around trying to feel out where I was. Whereas if that were more refined, if I had more practice at it, you know, I could recover easier. I'd just be in the right place more often. So, and also I just forgot to damage down at Series Ridley. I lost like 20 seconds. Like once you let Ridley start running around, because you have gravity suit, it takes a lot longer to damage down. You really need to do that trick to damage down quick. So that was part of my problem with the PB, but I do expect that will come down. Yeah, I don't think I have anything to say. Hopefully I used my cell phone to recover this, so hopefully the audio quality is a little better than my previous tutorials as well. And yeah, good luck. Thanks for watching.